Hey, so this is going to be our video on how to make wine. This is how we make wine. So this video will be for anyone that's interested in trying to make their own wine. What you'll need is a lot of grapes um, and a lot of sugar, about 3 pounds of grapes to make 1 gallon. 1 gallon of wine takes 3 pounds of grapes. 3 pounds sound like a lot, but really it's not. I mean, right here, what I have in this bowl right here, which is not a very big bowl, is about, I would say, almost 10 pounds of grapes, give or take, um, if not 6 more. But and this is what we have right here. So we have enough to make at least 2 gallons, if not more, of wine. We actually went out and bought, I think it was a 25-pound bag of sugar. We won't use all of that. We might use, what, 7 pounds? 7 pounds of sugar. So 7 pounds of sugar, give or take. You know, we'll go over it more. But this is the beginning of our wine making. Hey, okay. So the next thing you want to do after you have your grapes is you want, if you're an adult, have some wine. Get the blood flowing. Now a lot of people are going to use your feet, and the best thing to do is go out and walk in mud, perhaps some manure, before you step into the grapes. It adds it a little bit of a flavor. But we're not going to do that though. So what we're going to do instead is we're just going to crush up the grapes with your hands. Don't use feet. It's just disgusting. I'm sorry. And depends if you have seedless or if you have seeded grapes. Now, one of the key things to do, and you can probably even find it online, and if you find the ones that say keep the stems in, it's not a good idea to keep the stems on the grapes, because when you do that, it adds bitterness to your wine. I suppose if you want like a bitter dinner wine, like a dry wine, maybe you can add that to it. It's probably not a bad idea. But overall, you want to make sure all stems are out. Now, another key important, and this is something that I was told, when it comes to wine coloring. Now, you don't go to the supermarket and buy food coloring. It doesn't give it its color. In fact, what you do, by what I've been told, and it's something, this is an experiment, it's something that I was told, is that the skins of the grape are the actual things that give it its color. So we're going to see if that is actually true. What am I doing? Like, individually. So you just get in there and just pretend it's monkey brains or something, and smash up the grapes. So after I get all the grapes mashed up, I will get back with you, and we'll continue on with our lesson in home ghetto winemaking. Okay, so you're looking at this right now, and you're like, Josh, it's pretty juicy. It's ready to go, right? Not really. I mean, if you got like 3 pounds, or like we have close to 6 pounds of grapes, that's a lot of grapes to have to crush. And I mean, when you grow your own grapes, which by the way reminds me, if you're going to make wine, it's a lot cheaper to grow your own grapes than to go out and buy 3 pounds of grapes to make wine, because it is a lot cheaper. But when you grow your own grapes, you get like this sack weird stuff inside of it, and seeds and everything else. I actually tried to plant seedless ones, but they didn't work out this year too well. But if I can get a close up real quick, this is something you want to look for. When you get a grape and the meat's still on the skin, you know, that's what's going to help create the juice. So you want to like squeeze that skin. You want to crush it up. It adds, you know, it just more juice. Now, as I've been sitting here crushing these with my hands, like I got to thinking, I realize now why it was easier to just crush with your feet, because you know you could just, it'd be like an aerobic exercise. Stand at the TV and just crush, you know, all day. But your hands would be, or your feet would be red. But it's actually pretty hard to crush these with your hands in a bowl like this, because they jiggle around. It's hard to to juicing. So when we get to the next stage, I will let you know what we're doing. But you want to spend at least an hour, I would guess, depending on how many grapes you have, of just sitting here and just making sure over and over, scooping them up, tipping them back, to make sure you have every single grape. You want to have all of it crushed as much as you can. Maybe eat a few every now and again. But that's what you want to do. So when we get to the next stage, I'll get back with you guys on that and let you know what we're doing. Okay, so we're on the next stage of our of our grape juice, and what we want to do is it's going to take 13 scoops for 2 gallons of wine. Normally, if you have 1 gallon, keeping in mind I'm adding 1 extra scoop, so really you're only having I think 6 scoops, give or take, per gallon. So we have 2 gallons of water here in our kettle here. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add 1 cup. And if you took home ec back in high school, or you know how to cook, you know how to measure, you want to make sure you scoop it off the top, that way you get an even cup. So there's 1. 2. 3. Okay, so we're on number 13 scoops of sugar. 1 cup of sugar, 13 for 2 gallons. At 6 pounds of grapes. We went ahead and bought a 25-pound bag of sugar. That would have sugar left over. And so what I'll do is I will get a scoop, scoop it up. Now you want to let this come to a boil, and after it boils, then you get to add the lovely wine juice. It's just the crushed up grapes, 6 pounds again, and then you'll pour that into the kettle, into the pot, and let it boil for 5 minutes. After it boils for 5 minutes, then what you'll do is you'll go ahead and you want to use a glass kettle, and what it will do is you'll let it sit for about 15 days in the glass kettle. Now fortunately enough, we have someone that has a huge glass kettle that will easily hold way more than 2 gallons of liquid. So we'll pour this into the glass kettle. We'll get some cheesecloth. We'll cover it up with cheesecloth. We'll zip tie it, and we'll let it sit and ferment for 15 days. We'll record that part when we get to that part. But so until then, you know, I would show you. Hey, here's me pouring the grapes into the water. 13 cups of sugar. But I'm not going to do that. You get the point. You know what to do. So again, you want to get about roughly 2 gallons of water. Get your 6 pounds of grapes crushed up. Pour it into the water before or after it starts boiling. Let it sit for about 5 minutes. Turn it off. Let it sit and cool. And as always, it's very important to get this right. Everything you use, sterilize it with hot water. Everything you use. The only thing that we did not sterilize with hot water was our stir to stir the sugar. But it's going to boil off. It'll be fine. Don't worry about it. Forget about it. So after that part's done with, then that would be it. Then we pour it into the kettle, and we add our yeast. And again, we'll go over that later. So until next time, this is our wine making tip.